Hey guys, Desolator Magic here, and after this long wait, it's finally time to finish off, that's right, the second half of Chapter 6 of the M19 storyline. Okay, yeah, it's been a while, but in my defense, these videos get basically no views and make no money, and they take like 4 times longer to make. That is literally the entirety of the reason that I don't feel terrifically motivated to finish these. But I'm also not one to leave something halfway done, that would just be stupid, so let's jump right back into the story. If I sound like I'm not in the greatest mood, I just got home from working 16 hours and I burned my knee very badly. Like, bad enough that I probably should have went to the hospital, but like, who has money for that? This is America, no thanks. I could take that money and buy a brand new car. So anyway, in the first half of this wonderful chapter, Ugin planeswalked around a bit, spent some time in the blind eternities between planes after bailing on Bolus, kind of accidentally. He visited Lorwyn, Zendikar, Innistrad specifically, which is a coincidence because those are the ones we've heard of, and there are hundreds. I'm not 100% sure where I left off for sure in the last video. I know somewhere around here, so consider this a refresher if you've already heard this little intro part here. So after he learned to planeswalk, he did not immediately return to Dominaria. In fact, it took a while because he just didn't care about Bolus, basically. Like, he thought about him, but not enough to go, see what's up. So at this point, he was quite good at planeswalking, so finally he decided, you know what, after traveling around, learning magic, gaining XP, doing quests, and leveling up, he targeted Dominaria and just beamed right into the middle of a huge battle. So they do take this brief opportunity to remind you that both of the twins, Baisha and the other one, crawled into a secret hidden area, like in the crystal barrier in the hedron, or not crystals or hedrons, whatever, who cares? The pointy thingies around Ugin's grave, and one of them was experiencing these memories from Ugin the whole time, and then the other one was seeing it too because she was touching her hands. So yeah. So it's basically Arcade's Ganon and his human army versus Bolus and his human army. Ugin had learned magic to protect himself from physical weapons and snaring spells, so he had no problem unfurling his wings and yelling at both of them to stop for a second. Just right in the middle of the battlefield. So Bolus's crazy cult of dragon-worshipping crazy people and Arcade's forces both paused for a second because they were just like, whoa, that's something you don't see every day. Even Lieutenant Pac-Man and Sergeant Donkey Kong stopped in Arcade's army. It's a stupid name is what I'm getting at. Oh, apologies to anybody out there named Arcades. I'm sorry that your parents hate you. So Ugin was like, guys, stop. Like, what are you doing? Come on. And naturally, Arcades yells back, he started it. I'm just defending my people, which actually is 100% accurate. So Arcades is just like, oh, crap, the battle stopped and we were losing, so army, retreat. And so they do. And then Bolus is just like, whoa, I thought you were dead, bro. So some human sorcerer person, like, he thought blew him up with the spell. Yeah, because, a lot of humans could just vaporize a dragon in one shot. Yeah. Bolus is an idiot. But yeah, he thought that when he disappeared when he planeswalked that it was some kind of human spell getting revenge on him or something. But he's like, nah, I'm a planeswalker, bro. Okay, he doesn't immediately tell him that. So he's just like, oh, cool. It's you and you're okay. Hooray. So he said, yeah, I've been trying to teach the humans to like be peaceful and crap. Like, no joke, he actually says he was trying to make the world into what Ugin's vision of peace and harmony was. And he showed up in the middle of a war. So naturally Ugin's like, you call this peace? Y'all blown each other up. Look at that guy. That guy right down there, he's on fire. He is on fire, Bolus. Fire isn't peaceful. So Bolus just like randomly abandons the whole army, just like flies away, just assuming, they can take care of themselves. Which actually, it says he could have pressed the advantage, fired on the retreating army or whatever, and, whatever, because they were basically winning. But then again, Ugin had been gone for centuries, it said. I believe it later says about 5,000 years. Hello. So he mastered a bunch of powerful magic of every type, they said, which actually... you've probably seen 5-color creatures before and 5-color abilities and all that, but Ugin is colorless in the game. So it's actually because, as they put it, he mastered usage of all 5 colors of mana seamlessly. So he knows how to do everything, basically. You would think that would make him more powerful than Bolus, but whatever. So it's interesting that like some random artifact or something or equipment is just like, hey, plug in some batteries, energy's energy, whatever. I'm not a real living being. And then there's other colorless stuff that's more powerful, and you gotta wonder, is it because they learned how to use all 5 colors of magic and mana like actually well instead of just being indiscriminate? That's just about the most interesting thing I took away from this. So they go on a little aerial sightseeing tour, and Bolus is like, hey, look how pretty and peaceful and nice Dominaria is, and he shows them all the nice places, but dragons can see really, really far, so Ugin's spotting all these places that got just, like, nuked by really powerful spells and battles and just use of magic that nobody cared. It was just like, let's blow each other up. So there's like rerouted rivers, flooding settlements, and dried up lakes, and just burned down forests and stuff. And Bolus is just like ignoring those parts, like pretending he can't see them. So then Bolus is like, "Hey, I took over half the plane. Can you believe how big it is? It's so big. Oh my gosh, Ugin, you don't even know how big this world is. It's crazy." Which obviously is just for story reasons, because that's so like hilarious. Because then I'm sure Ugin was like, multiverse though. So Ugin finally tells him that there's way more than this crappy little world, and Nicol Bolas doesn't really take it so well, thinking his own accomplishment of taking over half the world was so great, because that's all he ever knew. So he keeps trying to explain how, one world isn't that significant, and it finally brings up the question, where actually was Ugin this whole time, and what is he talking about? Because for now he thinks, it's that old monk guy or whatever that was telling you about, other planes, and that you just believed it, and he honestly thought that he was just hiding, like somehow used a disappearing spell and then hid somewhere for 5,000 years or something. But Ugin's like, no, seriously, I can travel between planes. And he's like, okay, teach me that magic. He's like, you can't. Because remember, he'd been traveling for 5,000 years. So he knows, your spark ignites and this and that. And it's got to be a thing. So yeah, if you don't got the spark, you're stuck on your crappy little plane. Sparing, of course, any massive plot device, literally, built by Tezzeret or the Phyrexians or... well, let's just say there are a lot of exceptions. I'm surprised at this point you can't just basically get on a bus and they'll be like, next stop, Zendikar. So when Ugin tells him, it's basically off limits to non-planeswalkers, there's no way to get between the planes otherwise, which is 5,000 years, come on, that's provably false. He, of course, accuses Ugin of lying and just, hiding somewhere or whatever, and then he's like, well, you just reemerged now when I've already taken over half the plane and I was about to win that battle. So Bolus still doesn't believe him, and it turns into like a huge argument thing, and eventually Ugin just tells him, have fun on this crappy little plane, and then planes walks away, and kind of makes Bolus mad. So just then, Naeva jolts awake as her hand had randomly stopped touching Baisha's, because she, I guess, turned over in her sleep, which is weird and awfully convenient, but whatever. So yeah, she heard something outside the tunnel, so she crawled back out real quick instead of like, let's go back to sleep. And she saw Grandma Yusova, everybody loves her, coming through like the crack in the rocks or whatever. I don't know. They called it like a valley later, and then the other one, they said they had to like hold their breath to squeeze through it, so a little bit of a difference in width there. Make up your mind. So yeah, it's Grandma, and remember, her and the orc guy were dealing with the allegedly pregnant survivor of a plague, she said, that like swept through their hunting party, and she was the only survivor, whatever. A story which they were all deeply suspicious of. So Naeva fills her in on the dreams and the visions, and why they left the enchanted cavern place that they were supposed to stay in, to come here, and Grandma's like, yeah, okay, Ugin's trying to communicate with her, or whatever. So they put 2 and 2 together and figure out that Ugin's spirit isn't really sleeping, but also isn't really like awake. He's not just a ghost up running around or whatever. So he was just somehow able to send a message to like more spirity people, the wind people. I still don't know if they're real people or if those are spirits. Who cares? Whoever they were in chapter 1, and they told them in the first place, if you don't remember, to go to Ugin's grave. And then Tai Jin, the Ghostfire guy who just kind of met them, he was from, I think, Ojutai's area. They figured, well, he must have a super powerful master that sent him there, and his master got a message from like Ugin's spirit or whatever in like a dream or whatever. So yeah, he sent them on the mission as well. I'm still not really sure why he's there. I don't think he's sure why he's there. So just like an Italian deli sandwich, it's all coming together now, and I'm gonna eat it. Dude, this plot is thickening so quick I'm gonna have to switch it to the double C spelling. So then Grandma's like, hey, Naeva, did you hear any whispering in your head, which seems a bit random? And she's like, no. She's like, what's going on, Grandma? Why would I hear whispers in my head? And Grandma's like, yeah, Mevra, aka Prego Lady, is almost definitely dead with the rest of her party, and whatever took her form is like some seriously messed up crap. So if that's true, they are in some big trouble. So I'm sure Naiva was thinking two things. First, how can I stab my way out of this with my weapon, because that's how I solve all my problems. And secondly, oh my gosh, this is so cliche. Crucial information being learned from Ugin, at the end of their long quest. And then, oh no, halfway through getting all the answers, the clock is ticking because they're being chased by a horrible big threat. Oh no. So the rest of the party is back hiding out in the relative safety of the sacred cavern. So Grandma tells Naiva to go back there. She asks what the plan was and what Granny was going to do about all this. And she was just like, heck if I know. And Naiva's just like, oh wait, but Grandma always knows what to do. She's like smart and crap. Uh-oh. So finally her grandma's just like, maybe I'll crawl into the weird hedron hole path thing and touch Baisha and see if that does something. So she's gonna like tap into her visions too or whatever, because she told her how it works, I guess. So Naiva did her best to lightly cover the entrance to the secret tunnel through the crystals or hedrons. I don't remember what they are. And then they heard a noise in the canyon above, and they're just like, what the hell is that? So after like 10 steps, she looks back and thinks, I might have put that cover on too hard, and if I did, they're trapped in the tunnel and they'll probably die. So she goes back. She's like, I'm just going to make sure, because Aaron Rodgers always said, and he's one of the wisest people in their tribe, it pays to double check. I doubt anybody outside Wisconsin got that reference. So she walks back to just jiggle the lid or whatever, make sure it's loose enough, and hey, what do you know? Out comes Prego. I forgot her name already. I think it's Mevra. Or as they put it, and I quote, hugely pregnant, but remarkably light on her feet, strong and graceful, not lumbering at all. Okay. I could see why grandmother was like, yeah, she's actually dead, though. That's not her. Women who are, quote, hugely pregnant, that's not how I would describe how they move. I'm just saying. I mean, they are, they make an 800-pound grizzly bear that just came out of hibernation look friendly and graceful by comparison. I hope my sister-in-law's not watching this. So apparently this Mevra person was actually Naiva and Baisha's like second cousin or whatever. It's like their grandma's sister's daughter, whatever. And they saw her nearly every year at the annual get-together. I guess that didn't come up in the last chapter. That was weird. She was well respected by Grandma for her intelligence and like level-headedness and all that. So Naiva's just like, okay, like I kind of know her, but like that's super not her. So she just asks, who are you? And fake Mevra is like, wait, but don't we know each other? Which, I mean, I feel like she'd know who she is too, so they're both like bluffing each other. And so she just goes, oh, well, whose kid are you? And she's like, oh, I'm Yusova's granddaughter. And she's like, what a coincidence. I'm looking for Yusova. Where's she at? I could have sworn I saw her coming down this way just a second ago. So Naive is just like, nah, super empty here, bro. Nothing to see here. So this whole time, Naiva noticed that her magical hunter senses said that the woman had no smell of felt or sweat. I don't know what they mean by felt. What, did she go to Joanne's Fabrics? Okay, I think it was supposed to say pelt. Who knows? No glisten of oil on her uncovered cheeks. The wind did not stir loose any strands of her black hair. That's just creepy. Although they are in a valley. Her steps made no noise, not even the slightest scuff. And then she noticed that she's not even technically touching the ground. There was a tiny little gap between the soles of her shoes and the ground. So, yeah, that's not Mevra. So for the third time, Naiva asks who she really is, because clearly she's no kin of hers and definitely was not Mevra. So she just stops for a second and says, oh, how clever you are for noticing. And then she just collapses the illusion. She's like, okay, whatever. And so it's finally revealed who is this creepy person that was like creeping in the dark of the cave and trying to lie to him and, all that. Now, clearly I've been playing too many video games, because I'm just like, okay, Revenant, Shapeshifter, Skinwalker, Demon maybe a Lich, they do illusions. I'm just like going through my head like, what would this be? What kind of creature would this be classified as in the typical fantasy role-playing world? No, it was Bolus. I feel like I should have seen that coming from a very long distance away. So, yeah, Bolus was dressed as a human woman, and his name is basically Nicole. So, I mean, you can just take those two and put them together to whatever you want. I'll leave his clear and obvious issues to whoever can get him on a psychologist coach. The story didn't say it, but I bet he was wearing like really gaudy over-the-top heels too. I mean, come on. So Naive, obviously, immediately when he turns into his dragon form, knows who he is from the extensive visions from before. So she's just like, oh, hey, what do you want? So then Bolus is like, hey, all will be well now. You are safe now, little Naiva. All your troubles will be solved. Everything you have always wanted will become yours for the price of just 2 payments. No, I'm just kidding. For as long as you live, trust me, I just need one thing, one little thing. Never would she bow, never would she cringe, never. What do you want, she asks. I want Ugin, he replies. Ugin is dead, she tells him. That's what I thought the first time I killed him. But he wasn't dead after all. I'm actually not sure which specific instance he's referring to of the 2 times he thought he died. But anyway, this time I've returned to make sure of it. You are the indomitable hunter, soon to be renowned as the mightiest of all dragon killers, who is going to help me destroy him for all eternity. I mean, most renowned dragon killer, mightiest of dragon killers for killing a dragon that was already dead. Oh, by the way, I think Yasova was like a descendant of some dragon hunters or something. I don't know. There's like timelines and time travel. I just screw the whole thing. I didn't even read it. But like whatever. Like I think it was before Atarka showed up or something. I don't freaking know. But that still doesn't sound right. Like Bolus thinks Naiva is some magical dragon slayer or whatever. Or is he just like telling her that's what people will think of her? I don't know. Anyone else notice that he said he wanted Yasova? Then which is, grandma. Then he said he wanted Ugin, and then immediately after that he said he was actually there to talk to Naiva. He wanted Naiva to, like, do something and needed her for something. So, like, make up your mind, Bolus. So, anyway, the next chapter should be very interesting. I'm saying that super rhetorically because I've already read it. So I'm pretty invested at this point. Screw ad revenues and time and the very large list of more productive and pressing matters that I should be attending to. Like my knee. I mean, I put a Band-Aid on it. But I'm gonna cover the next chapter ASAP because I already wrote the script. I wrote this part before I wrote the second script. Anyway, so check out the previous videos in the storyline if you didn't. I mean, they're not very good. Nobody watches them anyway. But definitely go read the full text versions on Daily MTG if you're interested in the real version. Otherwise, my version is just downright silly. And check back soon to see what has to probably be the conclusion. Why did I write that? There's actually a chapter 8. Anyway, let me just respond to every comment in the comment section right now. Proofread these nuts, okay? Ain't nobody got time for that. That's 2 memes for the price of 1. Well, that's it. Come back next chapter. Peace out.